What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on last night's episode of Teen Mom 2. If you, like me, don't live in Canada but would love to watch the episodes after they air the next day, make sure to get yourself a VPN the way that I do. I've got a link to the one that I use in the description box down below, and just a heads up, it is an affiliate link. So let's kick it off at the very beginning. They introduce us to Ashley, the newest cast member of Teen Mom 2, and we get to see a little bit of her and Bar's history on Young and Pregnant, which was really good for people like me who don't really know them. So apparently Ashley is studying to become a nurse right now. She already finished up her medical assisting degree, but she wants to become a nurse, which is absolutely awesome. Bar lets us in on a little secret, which is that he is ready to go ring shopping to propose to Ashley since their relationship has really improved over the past year since their last breakup. So meanwhile, in West Virginia, Leah discovered a lump in her breast, so she calls her baby daddy Jeremy to see if his mom could watch Addie while she gets it checked out. Her call with Jeremy was very awkward to me. It felt like he was ready to get off the phone after he told her, yeah, I think you're really right to be proactive. Definitely get it checked out. Don't let it slip, blah, blah, blah. His own mom had breast cancer, so it's something he takes very seriously. But she just kept on talking and kind of like turned it into like a PSA. Like there's just something very ham-fisted about the way that Leah speaks. And it's something we've all noticed, since the past 2 seasons or something like that. Meanwhile, in Florida, Briana isn't letting Devon help out with Nova during the weeks or talking to him after he leaked her number on social media. And, she's punishing him for leaking her number on social media by not allowing his daughter Nova to see him for a couple of weeks, which is a big yikes. At the very end of the day, the person who hurts the most in that is Nova. So I don't really think that that is particularly fair. I think that she thought that this would stop Devon from being able to film for the show. Remember, they were going back and forth. I felt like I was making a video like every day about all of the drama going on between these two on social media. But I recall Devon managed to get a big raise for the season of the show, and Briana wasn't happy. So she said that she wasn't going to film any scenes with him. And I think that, by not filming scenes with him, that meant that she didn't want him to have Nova during the weeks, which is just so horrible, right? So anyway, the gag is that Devon still got his own scene. So, he's explaining things to his friend and calling Briana a wicked person, but a good mom. And speaking of Briana, she went to pick up her daughter Nova an hour late for early day, which is something that she complained about Devon doing, occasionally. And by the way, you guys, Nova's vocabulary when she got in that car and, asked Briana about showing up late was just so like beautiful. I was like, oh my God, like she's got a nice little vocab on her there. Briana does, to be fair, acknowledge that, being late like this is the stuff that she gets on Devon for. And, I like that, whenever people could admit that they are guilty of some of the stuff that they point their fingers at other people for doing and, just taking responsibility at that point, because it is easy to forget early day. It really, really is. So Kailyn looked very pretty in the scene where she had a photo shoot for all of her kids. Y'all, Kailyn's kids have so many professional family photos, it makes me laugh because I only have like one with my family when we all went to Sears when I was in like the 9th grade or something like that to take our family photo. And it's still hung up in my parents' house in the living room. By the way, I laughed my ass off when Kailyn had her nanny, Natalie, walk into the house like she just stopped by for a quick talk about, the housing situation that Kailyn is in the middle of. I was like, listen, Natalie and her son have been living with Kailyn and her kids for well over a year now. She helps Kailyn with her kids. She's like a second mom to those kids. Let's stop pretending she doesn't live there, please. So Kailyn says that she's building a new home for herself and the kids. No man involved, no man motivated or whatever. And, I hope that she sticks to it because we all know that the house that she's currently living in Middletown, far from all of her baby daddies and the kids' school, was a house that she purchased, hoping that it would make Chris come around more. And we all know how that turned out. All he did was come around and, knock her up with Creed and then leave again. So Natalie asks if moving again will cause issues with Chris. And Kailyn says, listen, he always knew that I lived far before I moved here to be closer to him. But the kids will continue to see him every other weekend. It's nice to hear that he has been consistent with seeing his kids every other weekend. So in Indiana, for Jade's storyline, Shawn hasn't been coming by to see Chloe ever since Jade kicked him out of the house. When Jade confronted him about it, he told her that he needs a break from both her and their daughter daughter, 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 Chloe, because they're, and I quote, a lot to handle. Did anyone else get the whole like Farrah Abraham needing space from like her 4-year-old child vibe from that? Like, what the actual F, Shawn? This is the kind of guy who, remember when he had his initial falling out with Jade, he was going online like, oh my God, she's not letting me see my daughter. I miss my daughter so much. These social media parents, meanwhile, in real life, they actually want a break from said kids and cannot be bothered to spend time with them. That was shocking, you guys. Back to Leah in West Virginia, you guys. Again, she just always sounds like a walking PSA or like, you know what I mean? Like those medical commercials or something like that. So she's with her kids at the park and the conversation was just so random. There was no like segue to it. We just cut to her. She's with her kids at the park and she's talking about like, so you guys know about menstrual cycles. And then they're like, yeah. And then she's like, you know, and lumps and breasts. And she just starts talking about how like, you know, after a menstrual cycle, you're supposed to feel for lumps and breasts. And it was random. It was just that. And then the conversation just abruptly ends. And the kids are like, well, I guess I'm going to go swing on the swing now or something like that. She's like, hang on, kids. Kiss me on the cheeks first. I'm like, I just, why is everything so performative with her? Just go get your breast checked out. And then, you know, we could discuss the other stuff then. I think at this point, it's a little bit much, you know what I mean, to bring it up to the kids again, because I think she already mentioned that she brought it up to them in the car. So do they really need to know about it a second time before you even go to the doctor to get it checked out? I don't know. It's just it's just the conversation just seems so forced and awkward to me at the park where the kids just want to play. Back down south in Florida again, Briana is just exhausted, you know, juggling the 2 kids and her jobs, you know, and she's like, okay, well, I got to stop keeping Nova from Devoin. So I guess I'm going to start allowing him to see her on the weekends. And she then talks to Nova about it. And Nova tells her that, yeah, she's, you know, fine with seeing her dad, of course. And then in Dover, Kail is relieved to, you know, have sold her house and no longer have to deal with all of like the mad memories associated with Chris and that house. So she cries tears of joy. And you would think that it meant that she finally stopped her cycle with Chris, but unfortunately, the 2 of them are still going back and forth literally to this day. Chris on his podcast was talking about how she invited him to go kayaking with her and the kids. It's a mess, this relationship, you guys, and it shows no signs of slowing down. By the way, I'm going to be recapping that podcast very shortly for you guys as well. And then back in Indiana, Jade and Shawn talk about him needing to step up as a father, and that's something that he seems to agree to do. And then Bar and Ashley are ready to celebrate their anniversary with a road trip to some beach area. And of course, Bar is going to propose to her over there. So heading back to West Virginia, Leah finds out that the lump in her breast was a benign tumor that will need to be monitored for the next 6 months. And so I really hope that, you know, it turns out to be like no big deal for her, because that is scary. The T word is very, very scary. So she too hopes that it's not a big deal. She really does not want to have to go through surgery for it. And she says, you know, as an addict, surgery is scary because of course you're medicated for those sorts of things. And she fears that it might cause her to relapse. And I totally get that. Something that was really interesting and very small, but like, I don't know, like I appreciated from Leah was that, you know, she said that as an addict, not as a recovering addict or whatever. She's just, you know, as an addict, and she's very open about it. She's not trying to like mince words about it. You know what I mean? She's not ashamed of that word, you know, and the medical issues that she suffered associated with her addiction. And I think that's a very, very big deal. That's quite amazing to me personally. So Devon then in Florida picks up Nova for the big day, and Briana and her mom, Roxanne, have the same conversation. They have literally every scene, every episode, which is, wow, like I wish Stella's dad would come around. I get it, and it's sad, but I'm just noting that, you know, it's just the same conversation that we have all the time. You know, these teen mom shows do really start to get very repetitive after a while. And so, you know, of course, Devon drops Nova back off later on in the day. Nova says she had a good time, and she wishes that she could have stayed a little bit longer with her dad, which makes sense because she had not been able to see him for a couple of weeks. And that probably was a big shift for her, because up until the feud between Devon and Briana, Nova was seeing Devon like every day. Like Devon was in charge of shuttling her between school and gymnastics in Brianna's house every single day. So, that must have been really hard for her. So in the final scene of the episode, Ashley gets Bar some really nice Gucci sunglasses for their anniversary that she knew he wanted. They were at the Gucci store together. He was not about to shell out that kind of money for them. And so, they left them, and then she went back and got them for him as their anniversary gift. And then Bar sets the scene for his proposal to her, which was the anniversary gift. And she was just so happy and like crying tears of joy. And then the premiere episode ends on that positive note. So guys, what did you think about the premiere episode of Teen Mom 2? Do you think Ashley's going to be a good addition to the season? Make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.